Hi everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a Neuvillette listener by me. So let's get into it. Neuvillette was someone who was never really used to being woken up by anyone else. He usually woke up early, all the time. He never really had any difficulty with sleep, and most of the time, he needed it way less than humans did, as a dragon after all. So, it wasn't like he experienced fatigue in the same way that humans did too. He was much stronger and much more durable. But maybe sleeping with you in the same bed made him want to sleep a little bit more. He would sleep in sometimes, which was so unusual for him, and he was actually worried about it. So he started setting alarms. But little did he know that sometimes he would wake up even way before. But you never really had the heart to wake him. You never wanted him to feel like he was not resting well enough. But seeing how stressed he was about sleeping too much, you couldn't just keep him that way. You had to do something. And that's why I decided to wake him up today, in your own special way. You prepared breakfast for the two of you, something light and hydrating, since Neuvillette really liked things with a lot of water in them. He hated anything that would be too dry, which she understood. It came with him being a dragon of literally water. So, you didn't really blame him for that decision. And the other thing that you had to do that was very important and would make the day perfect for him was to spoil him and wake him up with kisses. You knew he would love that, since Neuvillette was actually more spoiled than you would lead most people to believe. He loved being showered by affection, and right now, as you wrapped your arms around the sleepy Neuvillette and kissed his cheek gently, he smiled in his slumber, and you could only want to kiss him more. And so you kept on doing that, pulling him close and kissing all over his face until he scrunched his eyes and slowly opened them to look at your face, a blush tinting his own cheeks. Lion, it's quite early. Well, that is a little bit surprising for me. I'm not used to being woken up like that. You nod, smiling a little bit as you kissed his hand. I know. I thought it would be a good kind of difference, a good way to start the day, since you seemed a little bit worried yesterday and you wanted to wake up early. So, I made you breakfast, and I didn't want to wake you up too roughly. I'm much better than that alarm of yours. He blushed, looking at you as you nodded, and feeling like you were an angel, someone who was too good for this world, and too good for him too, if you were to be honest. He was simply relieved to have you, relieved to be loved in this way, and to wake up and feel like he had the entire world in his hands. Like there was nothing he could ever want and wouldn't have, just because of how precious you were, and how much he made his days just significantly better, and way more amazing than they would be regularly. And so he woke up, beginning to eat, and feeling like his heart was full, not only because of the food, but because of the warmth of your love. There was so much in there that he felt like he could melt into a puddle. But you really had to leave now and get to work, and yet you didn't have the heart to. If you could, he would stay with you all day, all night long, and the entirety of eternity. So he wrapped his arms around you, burying his face into the crook of your neck. May I stay for a little while like this? He asked, and you smiled. kissing his cheek as you wrapped your arms around him. Of course, Neuvillette, I wouldn't mind that. You're not going to be too late, right? Since you were worried and all. No, I don't have anything early today. I'm sure I will be just fine, he said. And since he was so sure of that, what could you even say about it? You were not going to object. So you wrapped your arms around him tighter and pulled him down to the couch. You know, Neuvillette, you could do with a break. I know you work so hard, and I'm sure everyone in Fontana agrees. You really need a break sometimes. And maybe you could call off work today. I know I could issue those holidays myself, but I really don't feel like it. I have so many days that I could take off, but I feel as though it could be an abuse of power. Neuvillette, I'm sure anyone else would agree. Let's ask Lady Farina, for example. You've worked under her for years and centuries, even. I'm sure she would understand, and she would even validate what I said. Or Sidine, or any of the Milesians. Come on. For me, he looked into your eyes, and the way that you were just begging him to be there. And honestly, his resolve was waking up. He didn't want to go today. He just couldn't get himself to, especially when you were spoiling him so much. And he felt like he didn't want to leave you anytime soon. So he nodded, eventually, just conceding. All right. I suppose I will just take today off. I will send one of the Milesians to tell Sidine, and they can just go on without me for the day. Oh, Nivy, I'm so proud of you. Thank you, love. You say, kissing him, and he smiled, and you could hear him purr in your arms, which was something that you were never going to get over, because his purring was just so adorable. It was much like a cat, except he was a very, very big dragon who just needed a lot of affection and a lot of attention too, both of which that you are so glad to give, and would give endlessly more of, just because of how much he deserved it.